Hey, what's up? Jason Gaddis here with the Relationship School. Today we're going to talk about three types of men in the context of relationship, okay? Long-term relationship, a love, romantic relationship. Three types of men. Okay, you may have noticed men are a certain way in long-term relationships, okay? You've dated men long enough, if you're a heterosexual woman, to know that we've got issues, okay? Us guys have issues. And sometimes we're really blamey, sometimes we blame ourselves. Often though, one of our biggest challenges is kind of how we protect ourselves, our heart. And you want to get in there. Makes sense, okay? I used to be a really emotionally constipated guy until I figured some things out. But after working with years and years and years of working with men, I've discovered that there's, generally speaking, three types of guys, okay? Number one, we've got the wimp. Okay, the wimp, you may have dated this guy. You may know this guy. He might be your brother. He might be your husband. But he can be very collapsed, right? And he can act sometimes like a doormat. This is what we often think is the nice guy, right? You've heard nice guys finish last. Some women like being with nice guys. But if the nice guy thing goes on too long, it gets a little annoying because sometimes you want him to not be nice. You want him to protect you. You want him to have a purpose and a mission, and you want him to go kick some ass in his life. And if he's constantly collapsed and overwhelmed and depressed, smoking pot all day or whatever, that gets annoying, right? So the wimp is the first type of guy that women often find themselves with. The next type of guy is pretty different. He's the wounded guy. Okay, now this guy, you might think, well, isn't he kind of wounded? Well, all people, for the most part, are kind of wounded, but it's how we work with them that separates us, all right? So this guy, yeah, wounded, but this guy is extremely wounded. Well, like one of the most wounded guys you'll ever date or be married to. And this guy gets extremely defensive. So defensive that he's just a dick sometimes. He's a defensive dick, all right? Yeah. This guy is commonly labeled a narcissist or someone who's just got a big ego or someone who's full of themselves. This guy is probably pretty successful because he got so hurt as a little boy that he compensated. He was like, never again am I going to let anyone in and hurt me again. Never again. And it can happen as early as, age 6 months old or a year and a half or 2 years. Like a lot of the characterological stuff can get set up very early. So this guy got really hurt as a little kid. Like, this little guy got smashed. And he decided that he would never let anyone in. And he was going to prove to everybody that he was worthy of love and respect. And so often there's a massive compensation with this guy. And he becomes extremely defensive and defended around his heart, which sucks for you, okay, if you're with this guy. This guy often will, initially in a relationship, be very charming, pretty sweet, make you feel really special, but then the wall comes up or the gate comes down, and it's like later. He'll gaslight, stonewall, he'll push you away, he'll blame you, he won't take any responsibility, he'll keep you at an arm's length, okay, very defended. But again, below all that armor is this really tender little boy that's wounded. Now, he would never admit this, okay, because he doesn't have enough self-awareness to admit that there's a, just wriggling up little kid in there that's just in so much pain. Okay, so that's why he defends himself and why he has so much success. He just will never let anyone hurt him again, right? That's number two. Third type is the warrior. Okay, now this guy is awesome. He's nice to be around. He's delightful. So he can seem nice sometimes, like guy number one. He can be delightful to be around, but he's decisive. He's direct. Okay, this guy can kick some ass in his life, at the gym, even with you. Like, you can have an amazing kick-ass relationship with this guy because he's willing to face his own stuff. He's willing to look in the mirror and say, yeah, that's my problem. I shit, I got defensive there. So he can be wounded sometimes, he can be a wimp, but he ultimately is a warrior because he's more integrated. He's actually into challenging himself. He wants to push himself even in an intimate relationship. So maybe he can go climb the highest mountains or make a lot of money or overcome an incredibly big obstacle in his life, but he can also show up and open his heart to you, okay? Warrior. You probably want to be in a relationship with this guy, all right? Now, yes, he behaves like this sometimes, but overall, this guy's solid, all right? Now, a lot of you will ask and have asked me, can these two guys become this? Of course, but it's pretty rare for this guy. A very wounded guy has to completely have a life-altering crisis go down to get him to submit and finally throw in the towel and then admit that he has a problem here and he should probably work on it. Usually that's like an affair, a financial ruin, something just crushingly devastating can happen to this guy, and it might bring him to his knees enough to open and start talking about what's actually going on. So there's hope for this guy, but not much. This guy has a lot of hope because he's generally aware of himself. He's kind of aware he's a doormat. He's like, yeah, this sucks. I'm kind of in this pattern, this habit. I just can't get a job, or I don't know what my purpose is. I'm kind of lost. He just gets a little kind of all over the place. But he's got, this guy can change because he just needs to get in himself more, in his spine and his balls, and really, step up. But he's got to be surrounded usually with a bunch of men that challenge him to grow. And hopefully an awesome woman like you that challenges him to grow, but, carrying way, right? Okay, so 3 types of men. In the next video, we're going to talk about the 3 myths about men. I just want to educate you here about us guys so that you can have an awesome long-term relationship. Now, if you want more tips and tools here to learn how to relate to us men if we're pulling away or shut down, how do you deal with a guy like this, right? Like I used to be. Just go to relationshipschool.com/get-his-heart-back, all right? relationshipschool.com/get-his-heart-back. And we can go a little deeper and you can do some experiments, okay? Find out what kind of guy you're with. All right, thanks. Make sure you subscribe and we'll see you soon.